It was supposed to be a simple birthday, a chocolate cake, some balloons, and 7 candles for little Matthew. But the boy's 7th birthday turned into the beginning of a nightmare. Jennifer Clark paced around her living room in their tidy suburban home in Evanston, Illinois. The house smelled of frosting and sadness. It was already 9 p.m., and Daniel, her husband, hadn't shown up. Again. This was the 3rd birthday he missed, always with an excuse: work, meetings, emergencies. But this time, Jennifer didn't believe it. She had cooked Matthew's favorite spaghetti, decorated the house, and even hired a clown. Yet all the guests had left, and Matthew was now asleep on the couch, his party hat slipping sideways. Jennifer stood by the window, staring at the empty street. Her hands trembled slightly as she picked up her phone and called Daniel again. Straight to voicemail, no message, no explanation. She turned back and picked up a framed photo from the party, a cheerful picture with her, Matthew, her in-laws, and their neighbor's teenage daughter who had helped with decorations. She stared at it longer than usual. Everyone was smiling, yet something in the photo made her uneasy. There was a shadow in the background near the kitchen archway. She couldn't tell what it was, but it looked like a person. A cold chill crawled up her spine. At exactly 11:47 p.m., the door creaked open. Jennifer turned. "Daniel?" He stepped in slowly. His tie was loose, and his eyes were red. She rushed toward him. "Where have you been?" Matthew cried himself to sleep. Daniel barely looked at her. "Don't do this right now." "Don't do this," she snapped. "He waited all day. You didn't even call." "I said, not now," Daniel roared. Jennifer froze. She had never heard him yell like that. Daniel walked past her and went straight to the kitchen. Moments later, the back door slammed shut. She followed, but he was gone. She sighed, walked back inside, and locked the doors. Something in her heart whispered that something terrible had just begun. Next morning, Detective Ray Donovan was sipping his first cup of coffee when the call came in. "Male body found in a parked car, gunshot wound, suspected homicide. Address, Oak Ridge Street, Jennifer Clark's neighborhood. By 6:45 a.m., yellow tape wrapped around a silver Honda Accord, parked just 3 blocks from the Clark home. The body inside was Daniel Clark. His head rested on the steering wheel. 1 bullet to the temple. No gun found." Detective Donovan stepped back, scanning the area, making mental notes. Something wasn't right. Daniel still had his wallet and phone. No signs of a robbery, no blood trail, no broken glass. Officer Mills approached him with a small evidence bag. "We found this in the passenger seat." It was a birthday invitation card. Donovan frowned. "Interesting." He then opened Daniel's phone. The last photo Daniel received was sent from Jennifer at 5:45 p.m. the previous night. It was a family photo, everyone smiling. But as Donovan stared at it, his gut twisted. Someone didn't belong in that picture. Someone was in the background, hidden, watching, and that someone might be the killer. The shadow in the frame. Jennifer sat stiffly on the couch, hugging Matthew to her chest. Her hands trembled. A police officer stood by the door, keeping watch while Detective Ray Donovan examined the living room. The news had hit her like a bullet. Her husband Daniel was found dead, murdered in his car just a few blocks away. Detective Donovan glanced at the photo again, the same one Jennifer had sent to Daniel the night before. He enlarged it on his phone, focusing on the corner near the kitchen arch. There, half hidden behind a potted plant in an archway, was a sliver of a figure. Only a portion of the face was visible, just enough to show a jawline, dark curly hair, and part of an arm. It didn't match anyone standing in the frame. "Mrs. Clark," Donovan began gently, "do you remember everyone who attended the party yesterday?" Jennifer looked up, still dazed. "Yes, my in-laws came by early. My neighbor's daughter, Kylie, helped set up. My sister, of course. Then a couple of Matthew's friends and their moms." "Anyone you didn't recognize?" Jennifer shook her head. "Number. It was just family and close neighbors." "Why?" Donovan handed her his phone with the image enlarged. "Can you tell me who this person is, standing near the kitchen?" She stared at the screen. Her face paled. I didn't notice this before." Did anyone leave early or act strange? Well, Jennifer hesitated. Kylie, she left a bit early, said she had to study. She's usually so friendly, but yesterday she seemed distant, nervous even. Can you give me her full name? Kylie Rowe, she lives right next door. Donovan nodded. We'll talk to her. He walked through the kitchen slowly, tracing the line of sight from where the mystery figure stood. It led directly to the dining table and to the gift table. He glanced at the stack of wrapped boxes and brightly colored bags. Something didn't sit right. The gifts had all been moved into the living room after the party, yet one odd-looking package remained behind. A plain brown box, unwrapped, pushed slightly under the table. Was this gift here last night? Donovan asked Jennifer. No, she said, frowning. I moved all the gifts myself. That wasn't there. He put on gloves and carefully opened the box. Inside was a folded black hoodie, a pair of latex gloves, and a small cloth bag. Inside the cloth bag was a .22 caliber bullet. He turned toward the officer. Get forensics down here now. Bag everything. Later that day, Evanston High School Detective Donovan stood outside room 14B. Kylie Rowe, 17, honor student, photography club president. She'd helped with decorations and photos during the party. She looked startled when she saw Donovan approach her locker. Kylie Rowe, he asked. Yes. I'd like to ask you a few questions about last night's birthday party at the Clarks. You were there, correct? She nodded quickly. Yes. I helped set up. Is everything okay? We just need to clarify a few details. Can we talk privately? She hesitated, eyes darting. Sure. As Donovan walked her to the school office, he noticed her hand clutching something tightly, a phone with a cracked screen. He also noticed a smear of something dark on the cuff of her jacket sleeve. Kylie, did you see anyone unusual at the party? She stopped walking. I don't think so, she said softly. It was crowded. Kylie, I need you to be honest with me. Did you take any pictures during the party? Her voice cracked. I didn't mean for it to happen. I swear. Donovan stopped. What didn't you mean to happen? Kylie's hands shook. I didn't kill him. I just took the photo. Donovan stared at her. Photo of what? She bit her lip. Of the man in the kitchen. I thought it was a prank. I swear, I thought it was a joke. What man? Kylie whispered. He said he was Daniel's cousin. But he never smiled, and he disappeared before the cake was even cut. Victim, Daniel Clark, male, 38, found shot in vehicle. Crime scene, no signs of struggle, possible execution-style murder. Evidence found at home, unidentified box with gloves, hoodie, bullet. Witness Kylie Rowe confirms presence of an unidentified man posing as Daniel's cousin. Subject appears in background of family photo, no known identity. Motive unclear, no signs of robbery. Investigating link between intruder, victim's past, and household tensions. The wind rustled the yellow crime scene tape outside the Clark home as Detective Ray Donovan returned to continue his investigation. Jennifer had taken Matthew to her sister's place for a few days, leaving the house silent. Too silent. Donovan stood in the hallway, staring once again at the photo Jennifer had taken. The figure in the background, just barely visible, nagged at his thoughts. He had the image digitally enhanced and printed. There was no denying it now. The man in the background was no party guest. His body was partially behind a curtain, but what gave him away was his eyes, cold, alert, watching everyone. And then there was Kylie Rowe's statement, a man who said he was Daniel's cousin. But Daniel didn't have any cousins, according to Jennifer. She had never heard of one, which meant the man had entered the house under false pretenses, and no one questioned it. Donovan opened a notepad. Suspect infiltrated family gathering, used trust and distraction of the party. Likely knew the layout of the house. Intentional. He walked through the house again, starting in the kitchen and tracing the intruder's likely movement. From the kitchen archway to the hallway, the intruder could have slipped away unnoticed. But where did he go? He checked each room again, this time carefully observing the air vents, attic access, and crawl spaces. Then he saw it. a scuff on the hallway ceiling panel, an attic hatch. Donovan grabbed a step stool and pushed the hatch open. Dust spilled onto his shoulder. He aimed his flashlight upward and climbed. The attic was cramped, lined with pink insulation and old boxes. But something was off. In the far corner, near a small window, sat an empty thermos, a crushed granola bar wrapper, and a folded gray blanket. Someone had been here. Recently. Donovan crouched and opened the nearest box. Old photo albums, school records. Nothing useful. He turned and opened a second box. Inside, buried beneath newspaper clippings, was a stack of old letters, all addressed to Daniel Clark. He pulled one out and read it. "You took everything from me. You think you can live a normal life, have a family, while I rot in the dark? I'm not finished with you, Daniel. Not even close." No return address. No signature. Donovan's heart beat faster. He read another. "I was there the day your son was born. You didn't even notice. I saw the joy on your face. That joy will be mine soon." A stalker. A long-term one. Back at the station, Donovan laid out the evidence. The hoodie and gloves from the mysterious gift box. The bullet with no fingerprints. The attic items suggesting someone had lived there. Hidden, possibly for days. The anonymous letters to Daniel Clark. He called in Jennifer Clark for questioning. Inside the interview room, she looked tired, worn out. "Mrs. Clark," he began, "did Daniel ever mention anyone from his past? Someone with a grudge? A man he might have hurt or wronged?" She shook her head. Daniel kept to himself. He was private. He didn't even like to talk about his childhood. Did he ever serve time or have any connection with law enforcement? She hesitated. But there was one thing. Donovan leaned forward. "Go on." Jennifer looked down. "He used to work in New Jersey at a private youth center for troubled boys. This was before we met. He never talked about it much. Just said something bad happened and he moved away." "What kind of bad?" "I don't know. He got fired, I think." Donovan stood. He knew where he needed to go next. Daniel Clark's murder is personal. This isn't a robbery. This is revenge. Suspect was in the house, hiding in plain sight. The attic setup suggests someone prepared to stay for days. The photo confirms the killer was inside before the murder. Link between Daniel's past job and killer must be established. Kylie Rowe unknowingly captured the final clue. Next step, contact youth center in New Jersey. Request Daniel's personnel records. Donovan stared at the wall where the enhanced photo now hung with pins and red string connecting key evidence. The face in the photo was still blurry, but the message was clear. "I was inside your home before you even knew I existed." And Donovan was now certain. The killer hadn't come from the outside. He had always been inside. Chapter 4. The Past Returns. Detective Ray Donovan stood outside the chain-link fence of the Brook Hollow Youth Center, a gray blocky building that looked like a prison disguised as a school. A buzz of tension filled the air. It was the place Daniel Clark worked over a decade ago, and the first real lead in this case. A guard led Donovan through the halls, past faded murals and dim lights. The director, Mrs. Eleanor Hargrove, waited for him in her office. "Detective Donovan," she greeted him, shaking his hand. "Daniel Clark. Haven't heard that name in years. I need everything you have on him. Personnel files, reports, exit details. Anything unusual." She sighed, opening a cabinet and pulling out a thin file. "Daniel worked here as a counselor between 2010 and 2013. He was popular with the kids, but there was an incident." Donovan perked up. "What kind of incident?" Eleanor hesitated. "He accused one of the teens, Julian Marks, of theft. It escalated. Julian swore it was a setup, said Daniel planted evidence. Julian got expelled. His record was sealed because he was a minor, but he didn't take it well." "Did Daniel press charges?" In fact, he resigned shortly after, left without saying goodbye to anyone. "Do you have anything on Julian Marks?" "I'm not supposed to," she said. "But..." She reached into another drawer and pulled out an old disciplinary record. Incident report, 2013. Accused of theft, denies wrongdoing. threatened Daniel Clark before expulsion, stated, "He'll regret it when I show up at his door." Evanston Police Station, afternoon. Donovan typed rapidly into the system. Julian Marks, 28 years. No current address. Last known, Joliet, Illinois. Record sealed at 18. He scanned missing person reports, mugshots, even mental health facility data. Then he hit something. Julian Marks, suspected in a string of home invasions in 2022. No arrests. Pattern. Entry during family events. No forced entry. Suspected to have lived in attics, basements before striking. Victims unaware until after. Donovan stood up. "It's him." He called Officer Torres into the room. "Send an alert to all local agencies. We're looking for Julian Marks, likely using aliases. Known to live inside victim homes undetected. Possibly armed. Very intelligent." Torres nodded and moved fast. Donovan sat back and stared at the crime board again. Every detail started to make sense. The hoodie and gloves left behind. Signature of past cases. The unwrapped gift. A taunt. The attic setup. His signature method. The photo. Accidentally captured by Kylie. The motive. Revenge for a ruined life. Clark residence. That evening. The house had been empty for 2 days. Jennifer hadn't returned, but the neighborhood wasn't quiet. A neighbor reported movement near the Clarks' backyard, lights flickering in the attic window. Donovan and 2 officers arrived fast. Guns drawn. The back door was slightly open. They entered silently. Donovan whispered, "Check the attic." An officer climbed the hallway ladder. He pushed the hatch open. Empty. But there was something new on the floor. A single black and white photo. Jennifer and Matthew, taken at the party. But now a red circle had been drawn around Matthew's face. A chilling message scrawled below. "He has Daniel's eyes. I'll be back for what's mine." Donovan froze. Julian wasn't done. Investigation summary that Julian Marks, believed to be living in shadows for over a decade. Revenge against Daniel Clark, who may have falsely accused him. At large. Left threatening message. Shifted focus to Daniel's son, Matthew. Extreme. Intelligent. Strategic. Obsessed. Next steps. Secure protection detail for Jennifer and Matthew. Re-interview Kylie Rowe. Public appeal for any sightings of Julian Marks. Check previous employers, shelters, or support groups. This case wasn't over. It had only just begun. Detective Ray Donovan sat in front of a wall of surveillance footage. His jaw was tight. His eyes scanned every second of video pulled from the Clark neighborhood over the past 2 weeks. Doorbell cameras, traffic lights, store entrances. He was looking for one face, Julian Marks, the man who murdered Daniel Clark and now had eyes on Matthew, the son. Suddenly, Officer Torres called out, "Sir, I think I've got something." Donovan hurried over. The footage showed a man walking past the Clark house 2 days before the birthday party. Hood up, limp in his left leg, a large duffel bag. No one seemed to notice him. He paused by the side of the house, stared up at the attic window. "Zoom in," Donovan ordered. The man's face was blurry, but not enough to hide everything. Same nose, same wide-set eyes, short-cropped hair. It was him, Julian Marks. Later that morning, Kylie answered the door looking pale and anxious. "Detective, did you find something?" "I need to see your phone again," he said. She led him inside. Donovan connected the phone to his laptop. "You said you took over 20 photos that day, right?" "Yeah, but I only posted one. The one where Julian was in the background." Donovan nodded. "Phones keep a lot of hidden data. Let's check timestamps, file duplicates." He dug deeper, scanning metadata. Then, something odd. An image that looked like an error file. Unopenable. Encrypted. "Do you mind if I run a data recovery scan?" Kylie nodded, nervous. Minutes later, Donovan recovered a 10-second voice recording. It hadn't been made by Kylie. It had been sent to her phone by Bluetooth, likely while she was distracted during the party. He hit play. "You think you can forget people like me, Daniel? You think you can throw away lives and build your own? I've watched your family laugh, eat, sleep. You missed your son's birthday once, and now you'll miss the rest of his life. I'll make sure of it. Donovan stared at the screen, stunned. The voice was calm, cold, calculated. Not only had Julian been in the house, he had hacked Kylie's phone during the party, transferred the message, left it like a time bomb. Kylie, he said slowly, you may have been the one person who saved this case from going cold. Her eyes welled up. I didn't even know. I know, Donovan said gently. You were never the target, but you were the key. Back at the station, Donovan played the audio for his team. This man isn't just a murderer, he said. He's a hunter. He plans. He studies. He inserts himself into lives, families. He waited years for this moment. He pulled up a digital map with pins. Here's what we now know. Julian Marks was in the Clark home 2 days before the party. He entered through the side entrance. No forced entry, likely picked the lock. He lived in the attic, unnoticed, during the event. He killed Daniel Clark and vanished, leaving behind staged clues and a planted threat. He has an obsession with control and revenge. He now has eyes on Matthew Clark. Donovan turned to his team. We don't just have a killer on the run, we have a ghost, a man who watches before he strikes. I keep thinking about that voice recording. He said Daniel once missed Matthew's birthday. That's personal, which means he's been watching them longer than we thought. Months, maybe years. The old letters in the attic, the false identity at the party, the circled photo of Matthew. I think this goes deeper than revenge. I think Julian Marks believes this family belongs to him, and he's not done yet. 3 days had passed. Matthew Clark, now under constant police protection, was staying in a government-assigned safe house on the edge of Evanston. 2 plainclothes officers rotated shifts outside the door. Jennifer stayed inside, numb but present. Her eyes were tired, her voice distant. She barely spoke except when comforting Matthew. Detective Donovan didn't like it. Something about Julian Marks' last message kept clawing at him. You missed your son's birthday once, and now you'll miss the rest of his life. Julian wasn't just angry, he was obsessed. And obsessed men didn't let go. They circled. They came back. All right, Donovan addressed his small task force. Julian Marks knows we're on to him, but he's too deep in this to run. He'll come back, and when he does, we'll be ready. He tapped the whiteboard. We're staging the Clark residence. Jennifer had agreed. The house was rigged with motion sensors, pressure pads, silent alarms, heat cameras, and even decoy voices playing from hidden speakers. The attic was cleared, the broken window replaced. The idea was simple. Make Julian think the family had returned. Make the house feel lived in again. Draw him in. Officer Reynolds sat quietly in the dark dining room, watching camera feeds on a small monitor. Beside him, Officer Yates held a long rifle trained toward the hallway. Artificial lights mimicked a normal night inside. The coffee pot clicked on. A recorded argument between Jennifer and a fake Daniel echoed faintly from the living room speakers. Think he'll fall for it, Yates whispered. Reynolds didn't answer. He was too focused on the screen. At 2:17 a.m., the heat sensor in the backyard spiked. Then the side gate creaked open. Movement, Reynolds said into his earpiece. Donovan's voice came back, calm and sharp. Copy. Hold your position. Don't engage until he's inside. The figure approached the house. Hoodie, backpack, gloves, everything matched previous sightings. He reached into the flower bed, pulled out the spare key. Smart, Donovan muttered. He knew about the fake lock. Julian entered through the side door, bypassed the kitchen sensor by crawling, moved toward the hallway. He was heading straight for Matthew's bedroom. That's when Donovan gave the signal. Move, now! Lights flipped on. Doors slammed shut. Red emergency lights filled the house as officers Reynolds and Yates jumped from hiding, guns drawn. Hands up, on the ground! Julian froze. He smiled. Then he ran, straight into the living room. He pulled a flare from his backpack and ignited it, filling the space with smoke. Officers followed, but he was gone. Gone. He had planned an exit. A small panel in the laundry room wall had been loosened in advance. A hole barely big enough for a grown man led to the crawl space beneath the house. He knew the layout, Donovan snapped. He prepared this. Officers swarmed the area, but Julian was nowhere. Not in the neighborhood, not on the street, not on cameras. 1 hour later, Jennifer received a notification on her tablet. She opened it and gasped. A new photo, taken just minutes ago. It was Matthew, asleep on the couch, from an angle inside the safe house. The light in the background matched the current time. Beneath it, a single message. "You locked me out of your house, so I found another way in." Donovan slammed his fist against the table. He wasn't at the Clark house to kill anyone. He was distracting us. While he infiltrated the safe house, he used our own trap against us. He stared at the board again. Julian wasn't just after Daniel. He wanted to dismantle the family, one emotional cut at a time. First Daniel, then their sense of safety. Next, Matthew. Investigators update that. Julian Marks anticipated surveillance and played into it. Entered safe house undetected, likely earlier that day. May have hidden in basement or HVAC system. Message suggests he could strike any time. Must assume he has full knowledge of police patterns, digital systems, home layouts. Julian isn't improvising. He's executing a long-term plan. In the final move, we haven't seen it yet. The Clark family had been moved again, this time to an undisclosed location upstate. Matthew was under armed guard. Jennifer was placed in a secure hotel room. But no one, not even Donovan, felt safe anymore. Julian Marks had proven one thing clearly. He was always a step ahead, and now he'd turned the entire city into his hunting ground. Evanston PD, Detective Donovan's office. Donovan hadn't slept. He stared at the corkboard in his office, now overflowing with notes, pins, photos, timelines. Then he noticed something strange. He pulled out the birthday party group photo again, the one where Julian had appeared in the background. He looked closer. In the top right corner, above Daniel's shoulder, was a mirror. Inside the mirror, a reflection. It wasn't Julian. It was another man, older, bearded, holding a camera. Donovan zoomed in. The angle, the camera, the coat, he recognized them. It was Officer Allen, one of the local officers who'd been first on the scene. Except Officer Allen had died 6 months earlier in a reported car crash. A realization hit like a brick. Julian hadn't just blended in during the party. He impersonated a dead officer. He photographed the family himself. He left his own trail inside the photo, and no one noticed. Donovan rushed out. "Find the uniform, the equipment, anything linked to Officer Allen that went missing after the crash," Donovan barked. Torres returned minutes later. "Sir, you're going to want to see this." She handed over a report from storage. Items recovered from Officer Allen's vehicle included his wallet, badge, and uniform belt, but not the body cam or duty jacket. Someone had stripped the body before help arrived. Julian had assumed Allen's identity for months, watching Jennifer and Matthew from within. Using GPS metadata hidden in the edited photo sent to Jennifer, tech forensics pinpointed an unusual trail. The photo had been bounced through a series of spoofed towers, but one slipped. Lake Forest, an abandoned cabin 40 miles north. Donovan didn't wait. He led the team himself. The cabin was buried in woods, half collapsed. Snow clung to the roof. Birds scattered as the officers approached. Donovan raised his hand. "Hold positions. I'm going in first." Inside, the smell of mildew mixed with old blood. The walls were covered in newspaper clippings of the Clark family, printouts of surveillance footage, and dozens of Matthew's childhood photos. There was a TV in the center of the room. It was playing home videos of Daniel, laughing, holding Matthew, dancing with Jennifer. Donovan moved in carefully. Then he heard it. Footsteps from the attic. He looked up. Julian dropped down from the ceiling, blade in hand. Donovan drew his weapon. "Don't," he said firmly. Julian stared at him, almost calm. "You finally see it, don't you? He was never meant to have that family. He stole everything. He erased who I was." "Who were you, Julian?" Julian's jaw clenched. "I was Daniel's brother." Silence. Donovan's eyes widened. That wasn't in the records. Julian continued. "He changed his name, left me to rot, took credit for everything I built, my patents, My designs. Then he built a family with the woman I loved. And he didn't even show up for his son's birthday? He raised the knife. Donovan fired once, straight through Julian's shoulder. He collapsed, screaming. It was over. 1 week later, Julian Marks, born Julian Clark, was the estranged brother of the victim, Daniel Clark, the chief said. Following a violent split over intellectual property and personal betrayal, Julian faked his death, assumed multiple identities, and stalked the Clark family for nearly 3 years. He was responsible for Daniel Clark's murder, impersonation of a law enforcement officer, unlawful surveillance, and attempted kidnapping. He paused. Detective Donovan's sharp eye and relentless pursuit of hidden truth were crucial in resolving this case. Revenge for Daniel Clark's betrayal and erasure of Julian's identity. Long-term psychological stalking, infiltration, manipulation, hiding in plain sight, always present in family moments. Appearing inside the birthday photo not once, but twice, as himself and as Officer Allen. Not to kill Matthew, but to raise him as his own son. Erased Daniel's legacy completely. Final scene, Clark residence, 1 month later. Jennifer and Matthew returned home. Matthew ran up to his room. On the floor was a torn photo of his father. He looked at it, then tore it again. Jennifer called him downstairs for dinner. He came down smiling. Outside, a new security camera clicked softly. Watching, protecting, this time for real.